welcome back to SomaliDispatch.com's YouTube channel. My name is Abdulghadir Guled. Somali traders in Bakara market closed their doors yesterday due to ISIS imposing additional taxes. Businesses in Somalia's largest market already pay taxes to Somali federal government and to Al-Shabaab. Somalia sent Haramcad troops and Gorgor troops to Beledweyne yesterday, a move that raised more questions than answers. We discussed those and other issues with Ismail, Osman, a former security official and a political analyst. And welcome, Ismail, Osman, to SomaliDispatch.com, and thank you for accepting our invitation today. I was wondering if you can start us off by telling us and summing up the country's current security situation.
Thank you, Abdulghadir, and thanks for having me. The current political and security situation in Somalia, it's very fragile. It's the lack of a better word, it's a ticking bomb to say the least. The country is getting ready for an election that seems to be rigged, and anywhere you look at it, the corruption is the pretty much pandemic right now. I've never seen this kind of corruption in election before. And security in terms of focusing on, defeating Al-Shabaab, looks like the security forces are now being part of the political process and being used to rig the election.
Right. We've also noticed a couple of flare-ups, for example, in Iran. Somali forces, Gorgor and Haramcad have been deployed there, and it's contributing, according to some politicians from Iran, to the instability in that region. How is that affecting the overall security situation in the country?
Deploying a security forces to a election places is not the first time, and Iran is not the first one. We saw what happened in Beledweyne, December 2018. We saw what happened in Gedo region, the better part of 2019 and 2020. We saw what happened in Shabab. So it's no different, but this time, Beledweyne is supposed to be hosting a federal election, and MPs, member of the parliament, 24 of them will be elected in Beledweyne. So the reason why they dispatch these forces is just to make sure that some of the seats Villa Somali is aiming will be selected on their favor.
Allocating such a large force that should be battling entities like Al-Shabaab to be used in this manner. What does that say about, as a former deputy security official in NISA, how does that take the focus away from the real situation that's at hand, which is combating, as the government says, Al-Shabaab and the like?
We have seen the growth of the terrorist group, whether it's Al-Shabaab or ISIS, for the past 5 years. They have collecting taxes, all the major cities, including, Benadir. What happened yesterday at the Bakara market, that was shut down because the traders refused to pay taxes from ISIS group. They were already paying the government and the Shabab, and ISIS is on the picture now. And instead of these troops fighting combating with the terrorist group, they're being used. They became a political wing for Villa Somali, to say the least. So looks like the government does not care about defeating Al-Shabaab. They more or less care about how they can be re-elected on the next 4 years.
Right. To stay with the Iran situation, I would ask you a bit about the Bakara situation in a minute, but what are the crux of the dispute in Iran, specifically in Beledweyne, as it relates to Shabab? If you can go over, because a lot of times Somalis tend to just dive into the current dispute without knowing the background of certain issues.
Well, as we all know that Ali Goodlaw was elected to lead the Shabab, federal member state, and he was refused to go and visit the second largest city in Shabab, which is Beledweyne. He tried on multiple occasions to go and visit. He has not yet succeeded to go there. That's number one. Number two, we know that Villa Somali were just a double dealing when it comes to Hiran region. On one hand, they were trying to push Ali Goodlaw to go there. On the other hand, they created some sort of a militia army that rejected his visit to Beledweyne. The man who was leading that militia group is in Mogadishu now, and his Villa Somali is hosting. He met the president a couple of times, and when the troops are deployed yesterday, he started saying that he rejected that notion of deploying those troops. Today, the vice president of Shabab announced that Ali Goodlaw would visit Beledweyne, and sort of using that muscle, the troops that were deployed yesterday. But the reason behind the troops and the reason behind the chaos in Beledweyne is one reason, in my humble opinion, and that is the current national security advisor of the president and former NISA director Fahad Yassin wants to grab the seat in Beledweyne, and he cannot go there and compete for two reasons. One, he's been accused of the death of Ikran Talil, which her mom and dad both are from Beledweyne, as number one. Number two, he wants to make sure that he takes that seat in Beledweyne by force. So he's using the Somali National Army to gain his momentum and to be selected for that seat. And that's the only reason why they deploy that troops.
Right. You've alluded to yesterday's business closures in Bakara due to the fact that Islamic State has imposed taxes on those traders. What can you further tell us about that situation, and how could a situation like that exist at the seat of the government in the capital Mogadishu?
Well, the traders in Bakara market, they were already being taxed twice. One for the government, and the other one was Al-Shabaab. And now they could not take it anymore. So when ISIS also imposed a taxation on the traders in Bakara market, so they decided to shut down. That is a loss for the government income in terms of taxes. That's also a loss for the government workers and the army, who were their salary being, it's coming from the taxation of the Beledweyne region. So to add to the issues the traders in Bakara market were also serving and other traders within the city itself. So that's a major hub, and not only in Mogadishu, but surrounding states also. Traders for the surrounding states come to Bakara market and get their stuff, so they can resell it in the respective region. So the problem is not only shutting down the business, but the problem will impact the economic of the Beledweyne region and surrounding Beledweyne state.
Right. How is it, as a former security official yourself, and a larger question to the government perhaps that's currently there, is a situation like that fathomable? To have Al-Shabaab taxing, traders and citizens that the government is supposed to, give shelter to when it comes to things like this. There's been reports in the international news about how much Shabab is collected and how now it is the biggest collector in revenue in ISIS, in Al-Qaeda umbrella. What can you tell us about how that works, and how is it that coexistence is acceptable?
Well, Al-Shabaab is collecting taxes not only the Bakara market, Shabab market, and other markets, but they are also collecting taxes from the port itself. So when goods come to the port, the government taxes, and Al-Shabaab taxes as well. They are taxing, and if you want to build a house, if you're doing anything within the Beledweyne region, and anything that the government can tax, Shabab is also taxing. So an ISIS to come and start in the Bakara market, their next move will be the port and other areas of the state. So as far as I can remember, the last report I saw that Shabab was collecting $138 million a year for taxes in Beledweyne alone. Not to mention the supply route on Hiran and supply route of Bai and supply route of Kismayo, they are also taxing anything that's going in those three directions. It never happened before. It used to happen, but not this, scale. But what's happening now for the past 5 years, Shabab is collected a lot of money, and they are not conducting more major offenses in terms of BVIDs and other, war with the government. So the next government will have a huge battle on their hand, because Shabab now has a lot of money that they can carry on for the next 5 years if it's not handled properly.
Right. How is this insecurity affecting the drought in the country? There is a fierce drought going on, and people and livestock began to die off of it. How is that the current situation affecting to mitigate that situation?
Well, it is a good question, but if Shabab is collecting taxes in Bakara market and ports, and ISIS wants to do the same thing now, and we know that in the end of February, beginning of March, the country will hold, and it's a presidential election. And as we know that many thousands of people will come to the city, how are you going to secure that? How can we conduct a peaceful election and peaceful of power of transfer if you cannot even secure the Bakara market? Those are the security questions that a lot of people are asking, but time will tell.
Right. What could or should be done about this situation? Finally, as an expert in this field, how do you see moving forward? This situation could be grappled with.
Well, the prime minister has to step up to the plate and take his responsibility. He's responsible in terms of, if you look at the constitution, the security and the well-being of the people lies on the shoulder of the prime minister, and it looks like he's not doing his job. And he needs to step up to the plate and take over the security forces, and take the security forces out of the politics and focus on fighting with Al-Shabaab.
Right. I can't thank you enough. And it's interesting that you concluded with that point, with what's going on in Beledweyne today, and how the government said that they had nothing to do or even had a heads up in that move. Thank you for joining us this morning, and I appreciate your time and your explanation and expertise.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Abdul Qadir. But just also there was a meeting that was concluded by the Council of Ministers. They said that the troops has to be returned, kind of like a request. Mm-hmm. But I was expecting a demand to be removed, to be take those troops back to Mogadishu, and whoever ordered it, must. There's got to be consequences. Whoever ordered those troops to go to Beledweyne, but the statement that came from the Council of Ministers seems to be very weak, in my opinion.
All right, we'll conclude there. Thank you so much.
Thanks.